Yes, here it is, the fight we've all been waiting for. It just don't get any better than this, does it? Eubank versus Zeremeta. What a load of flange. But yes, you know what I'm talking about. It's Beterbiev versus Bivol Diddle, the light heavyweight undisputed cracker. It's about to settle a long-winded score that we need the answer for. I mean, old Maurizio Salami had the chance to sanction it last year, but being the twonk that he is, he said, nah, let's give that brilliant fight a miss, fuck it. But lo and behold, when there's a big pile of spondoolies in it for him...
Pork!
Would you look at that? All of a sudden, he's all on board.
The WBC won't sanction Bivol because he's Russian, even though Beterbiev is Russian.
Artur Beterbiev, his boxing license is Canadian.
In your own words, sir, what was the change of heart with you and the council?
I will not talk about anything other than boxing.
What an absolute tuner. Anyway, yes, let me give you the juicy details for this little ditty. So very rarely do we get an undisputed fight between the very best in the world, but even more rare is the fact that it's pretty much absolutely perfect. Not only are both their records undefeated and clean as a whistle, but they've hardly put a foot wrong in their careers as well up until now. It's been almost punch perfect for Dmitry Bivol, who, okay, hasn't exactly been dazzling with knockouts over the past few years, but still he simply outclassed everyone in front of him, including the great Canelo.
And right's being landed by Canelo. Oh, look at Bivol. Look at him go. Oh my word, Bivol.
He's hardly ever found himself in any danger. He's tied up everyone in knots with his Soviet style, superb angles, the genius shot selection, and ultimately cruised through the division in the smoothest of fashions. Beterbiev, on the other hand, he's a bit different, and he don't fuck about this, man. He's a bull in a china shop who firstly don't mind getting hit because he knows his chin is like a fucking brick, and secondly, he's in the business of severe, and I mean severe, punishment. His engine is incredible for 39 years old. And, well, yeah, anyway. And yes, because of this, he just never takes a step back, constantly coming forward, unloading those big, heavy, arm-like punches, and goes bouncing his opponent's head all about the ring like a sprinter's bollocks. But contrary to popular belief, he's not just a punisher. His boxing IQ is underrated and as skillful as it gets.
The guy is much more complete than he gets credit for. He does counterpunch. He does use the jab brilliantly. He does move off every once in a while to move laterally. He does a lot of things that is a lot more than just coming forward and getting rid of a guy. There's a lot of reasons why he's so efficient.
Now these two are just so experienced in the game, with roughly 563 amateur wins between them, nearly 270 for Bivol and just shy of 300 for Beterbiev, with a mere 20 losses between them. Unbelievable stuff. Beterbiev had been in with them all before turning pro and says he even beat the great Usyk back in the day. He lost to him twice as well, but still not bad, eh? So present day, they're both coming off knockout wins. Bivol against the lesser known Malik Zinad, who to be fair was pretty tough and put in a bloody good effort. He was just outclassed in the end.
He's not asking for something he can't do.
And Beterbiev coming off a demolition of Callum Smith. He's a cracking fighter, old Smithy, but whereas Canelo made it look quite easy beating him up, Beterbiev made it look like a stroll in the park, with Callum's corner having to call it a day after a couple of knockdowns. Now, a lot of people thought that Beterbiev was slowing down in the lead up to this fight, but yeah, that was bollocks, wasn't it? He's slowing down as much as the fucking Terminator, and ultimately this is the obvious major difference between the two. Yes, as mentioned, Beterbiev just ain't in the business of doing 12 rounds. He's dismantled every single opponent inside the distance in comparison to Bivol's recent 9 decision victories out of his last 10 fights. In fact, just talking about that statistic, Bivol's had a bit of criticism in recent times for not getting the job done more conclusively on certain occasions.
Bivol looked really, really good when he boxed Canelo, and then he's kind of just been inactive a little bit and didn't look as good in his last one, and he sort of laboured it.
Even looking like he's taking his foot off the gas in some fights. So with this clear and obvious inferior power that Bivol has and sheer demolition style of Beterbiev, it's easy to see why many are picking the Punisher for this fight.
I think Beterbiev, I don't think he'll go past 7 or 8. I could be wrong, but I doubt it.
Beterbiev, and I don't mean this in a derogatory sense, is a beast when he gets in that ring. I mean, I happen to think Beterbiev will win.
I think I'm going to lean slightly towards Beterbiev with his punching power. late on in the fight.
So yes, the obvious major factor playing into Beterbiev's hands in this fight is his freaky power. Regardless of Bivol's ring IQ, will he be able to keep him off for 12 rounds and withstand the punishment he's bound to receive at some point? Because let's be honest, if Bivol were to win, it's bound to be by a 12-round decision. Yes, history tells us with Beterbie's chin and Bivol's lack of knockout power, it's extremely difficult to see this machine getting stopped. However, having said that, old Teddy Atlas would disagree. He sees Bivol winning by stoppage.
I think Bivol beats him. I think Bivol controls range. He counterpunches well. If I'm Beterbiev, I better get a freaking referee that allows me to fight when I get close. Otherwise, I'm dead.
So yes, there we are. I mean, I personally disagree, but then again, he is the expert and I'm fully aware I know fuck all. But I'll tell you what I do know. I know that you can watch this absolute cracker on Disney with my link below. Don't forget the undercard is absolutely fucking blinding. Have a look. Ben Whittaker's going to be dancing about. Wardley and Clark go again. That's a belter on its own. And with this little ditty at the top, you're in for a treat. You'll also get a 7-day free trial and no subscription is required, but you might just want to stick around. Link below and it helps me channel out as well, so thank you for that. Now back to the vid. But yes, just hold the phone. It ain't as cut and dry as a Beterbiev demolition. No. As we know, Bivol is still an absolute genius, and looking at Beterbiev's record, he is a far cry from any of his last few opponents. The likes of Joe Smith Jr., Anthony Yard, Callum Smith, they're big punchers but never quite held for their boxing ability like this man is. If you have seen this video from the brilliant chaps at Skiller, then you'll know full well the extent of how clever Bivol is. It's definitely worth a watch, but I'll just paraphrase some of it now for you and probably fucking butcher it. But anyway, the reason this man is so hard to hit is because of his sublime defense and footwork. The right hand is always glued to his cheek and his distance control is absolutely spot on, so while Beterbiev may just have a hard time catching him clean often in this fight. Not to mention Bivol's volume punching is also the best in the game. Again, Beterbiev wants to come forward constantly and throw plenty of punches himself, but if Bivol is always bouncing in and out of range, maintaining that distance well, then is able to unload his flurry of shots in between, not letting Beterbiev up for air. A flurry of shots that are always as accurate as you can get, by the way. Then Bivol may just be able to accumulate the rounds as they go. On top of that, his timing is phenomenal. He doesn't take an unnecessary risk, and he's also bloody good at throwing whilst moving backwards, which is something he'll definitely be using a lot of in this fight. All of this combined allows him to frustrate his opponents and drag them into his desired fight. And let's not forget, this man is 33 years old. He is as fresh as a daisy, and he has been a bit more active in comparison to old Beterbiev, who, okay, we've established still looks solid at this stage in his career, but you know, no matter what way you swing it, he is 39 years old, and he has been absolutely riddled with injuries over the course of his career. He's done his meniscus, which led to this fight being rescheduled. He had an undisclosed injury leading to his fight against Yard having to be rescheduled. Then he had COVID, okay, not an injury, but that meant his fight against Diaz was cancelled. Then he had a rib injury, which pushed that fight back even further. He had a year out back in 2016 for a shoulder injury, and he even had something wrong with his teeth in the lead up to the Callum Smith fight. That had to be rescheduled as well. I mean, fucking hell, what's he got, a body made out of fucking crisps or something? So yes, quite a lot of injuries and time out the ring for recovery. Yeah, there we are. Anyway, and with all this mentioned, we don't exactly know if he'll still be as strong going into the later rounds, and this is why many on the other hand expect Bivol to bring home the bacon.
I believe he's the slight favourite in the fight because I just feel like skill-wise he's a better fighter than Artur Beterbiev.
Bivol's just a young fresher. He's stayed active. He can fight close, he can fight long, and his fitness is good, so I'll probably edge towards more Bivol.
I'm going with Bivol on points at the moment, but if Beterbiev stands there and lands, it's a good night for Hearn.
So yes, there we are. In a nutshell, it really is a 50-50, fuck knows who's winning, everyone's got a different opinion on it kind of fight. We know Beterbiev ain't going to change his winning formula. He's going to be on Bivol like a fly on shit all night, and Bivol's going to have a seriously hard time keeping him off. But best believe this man does have the skills to pay the bills. I get the feeling, however, there is a slight edge towards Beterbiev, given everyone's takes, purely because his power and dismantling of everyone has been so brutal over the years, and also in this fight it's easy to see him not being fazed at all by Bivol's power, giving him even more of an edge. But We also can't forget that Bivol really is a defensive genius. There's a good reason he's never touched the canvas before and never even really looked hurt throughout his career, and that is because he has every trick in the book. If you're asking me, the fella who predicted Joshua to knock out Dubai within 4 fucking rounds, then I'd have to say fuck knows. I'm kinda leaning towards Beterbiev, but I couldn't say it with any confidence because old Bivol's mustard, ain't he? But yes, that's my thoughts. Give us yours below. As always, I'm double interested. And I mean that, by the way, amongst all the comments calling me a cockface and a knobhead, it's a joy to read your predicos. Link below for the pay-per-view. Thank you very much if you clicked on that, and I'll see you soon.